Bonjour les amis! Hello friends! I'm excited to share with you today how to use your brand new Francophone World Passport. So you'll see the front page has a nice little image of traveling around the world, and I hope that by using this passport and some wonderful books, you'll be able to imagine taking a beautiful trip around the French-speaking world. If you still need to print and assemble your passport, then we will link to a video that you can see about how to make your passport. And you can get the printable on Etsy. So, when you open the first page of your passport, you'll see just a world map there. And then you'll see the fun part that you get to fill out to make your own passport. And you'll see there's a space right here that you can put your picture. I'm going to do an example, but of course you would want to do this for yourself. So just for fun, I'm going to take a famous American woman who did travel to France and spent a lot of time there, and her name is Mary Cassatt, and I printed out a little self-portrait she made of herself. Here for you, you can glue on a photo that you have of yourself, or you can draw a picture of yourself right in that spot. So I'm going to go ahead and glue on this beautiful image of Mary Cassatt. And then where it says last name or nom, you're going to write your last name. And in French, we like to capitalize all of the letters of our last name. So for Mary Cassatt, we're going to write C-A-S-S-A-T-T. Okay, her last name all in capital letters. The next is prénom. And for the first name, you're going to write your first name, and of course, just capitalize the first letter. And her name is Mary. And as I go along, if you would like to pause the video and work on the things that you need to work on, you may do that, or you can go ahead and watch the whole thing and go back through and fill things out. The next part says nationalité, which is your nationality. And I imagine there'll be a lot of American viewers of this video, but if you're from another place, you can look up your nationality, and I will provide a link to a place where you can look up your nationality in French. But for Mary Cassatt, her nationality is Américaine, and it has an E on the end. If you are American, if you're an American girl, then this is exactly what you'll write, Américaine, and you will not capitalize the first letter. In English, we capitalize nationalities, but not in French. And if you are an American boy, then instead, you will write the same word, but with no E on the end. Américain. The next part of your passport is going to be the color of your eyes. And in the case of Mary Cassatt, I believe that her eyes were blue. And so we're going to write the color bleu with an S on the end because she has two eyes, so bleu. However, if your eyes are another color, then I will write down those colors for you as well. So your eyes might be marron, or, which is brown, or they might be vert, which is green, or you can use that word for hazel eyes as well. Now, for her birthday, she was born on May 22nd, 1884. So what I'm going to write for her birthday is le 22 mai 1844. And of course, that's not the year you were born, but we will talk about what your month and year might be. So I'm going to give you a few examples with each different month of the year, and you can hopefully piece together how to write your own birthday. So, for example, if you were born in January, let's say you were born the 2nd of January, you'll write le, which means the, and then the number 2, de, and then the month of January is janvier. And then whatever year you were born, you'll write after it. Maybe it was 2018. Okay? And I'll give an example for each month, and then you can figure out, basically you're going to write le, and then the date of your birth, and then the month in French, and then the year. So you can just follow that. However, if you were born on the first day of any month, rather than just write the number, like de, right there, you will actually write the number 1 and then little letters ER above that. And that means premier, which means first. So in French, if it's the first of the month you're talking about, you need to add that ER above the number, and that signifies premier. So let's do that. And for someone might be born the 1st of February. So février. And we'll just make up a year. Okay? And we'll keep going. So we have one example for each month. Feel free to fast forward the video if you've already done this part. Let's do one for March. Le 4 mars 2015. Okay, and we'll do one for April. Le 21 avril 2010. Okay, and let's do one for May. Le 6 mai 2011. And we'll do one for June. Le 7 juin 2014. And now for July. We'll do a fun one. 14 juillet 2019. And this one, the reason I said that's a fun one is because that is the Independence Day for France, le 14 juillet, like our American 4th of July. And one for August, le 8 août 2019. And we'll put dates on after all of these. Okay, and le 9 septembre 2019. And moving on to October, le 5 octobre 2019. And then November, we're almost there. Le 15 novembre 2012. And finally December. Le 12 décembre 2012. So now you have examples for all of the different months of the year, and hopefully you can just fill in the date in the month and the year that you were born, and then copy the months. One thing you'll notice about the months is that in French, they are not capitalized. And once you have filled in your birthday and month, another part of the passport is the lieu de naissance. That's the place of your birth. You can put in the name of the city where you were born, and you can simply spell it just as it is in English. And in the case of Mary Cassatt, and then for the domicile, for your address, you could actually write out your street address as you would, and then you can write down your state, and if you are from the United States, you can write the word for the United States. So in the case of Mary Cassatt, she was from Pennsylvania, and in French that is Pennsylvanie. And I will provide a link to where you can find all of the different state names spelled in French. And then the word for United States in French is États-Unis. États-Unis. So if you are from the United States, you can write that. If you're from somewhere else, then you can go ahead and look up the name of your country and write that right there. And then you are all done filling out your passport information, and you are ready to pretend to travel. If you turn the page after your passport information, you will see 2 pages that say Pays visité, which means the countries that you have visited, for pretend, of course, and or for real if you're that fortunate. And what you can do is you can take the stickers that you may have printed, and with this passport document, I have provided stickers from 5 different countries. Of course, there are many more different countries. So if you want to pretend to visit or really visit another country, then you can go ahead and in your passport, just make your own little, you can go ahead and write the name of the country, or you could even take a blank sticker and write the name of the country, or even try to draw the flag. That would work as well. But I'm going to pretend that the first country I want to visit is La France, or France. So I'm going to take the sticker from the passport sticker page, and I am going to place it somewhere on my map. You do not have to place it on the map where the actual country is, but just for fun, I will put it about where it is. And as you pretend to visit different countries, you can take the stickers and put them on. This is also a really fun time to maybe pretend to set up an airplane in your house or in your classroom and pretend to fly to or drive to wherever you're going. And then once you have your passport stamp, you can turn the page, and there are a number of pages that say Pays, and it provides 5 different countries that you can pretend to visit and record some information. So since the first one we decided to do is France, we're going to write that, La France. And then on this first page, it says Mes pensées et mes questions, my thoughts and my questions. Before we launch into learning about these different countries, it's a great idea to think about what we wonder and what we already know. So for example, perhaps you know that the Eiffel Tower is in France, and so we could write Eiffel Tower, or maybe we can kind of draw a little picture of it and just kind of write down or draw pictures of the things we know. Maybe I know that there's a famous cathedral there named Notre Dame, and so I'll write that down. I know that there's Notre Dame Cathedral And maybe I'll draw a little cross by that to remind myself that I know there's a church there called Notre Dame. And then maybe I wonder about some things like, how long does it take to fly there? Because maybe I'd really like to go there someday. Or any other questions that I have. Maybe, how big is it? Maybe I wonder if there are some famous people I'd like to learn about. Are there famous people? And you can write as many things as you happen to know about these countries you're going to explore, and write as many questions as you have. Just take your time. There's no rush. Once you've written down what you know about France, or what you hope to know about France, then it's time to dive into your beautiful feast of books that you're going to read or listen to. And once you have read them, you don't have to wait till you're done with all of them, but little by little, you can write some things down. So for example, if you're reading Family Sabbatical, a super funny book, you'll learn about some wonderful children, and you might learn that in the south of France, there are beaches. So maybe I would write south of France, and then maybe I'm just going to draw some waves and sand and a nice little beach umbrella to remind myself that there are beaches in the south of France. Any little thing that you learn. Or maybe once I've read The Girl and the Cathedral, such a lovely book, maybe I learn a little bit about the architecture of Notre Dame, or maybe I learn something about the history of France, like there have been wars there, and but France has survived these terrible wars, and then maybe I learn that Notre Dame Cathedral burned, but people rebuilt it. So then I could record some of that information. So I could write, there were wars in France. Okay, so as you learn interesting information, then just go ahead and jot it down. And then after you've traveled through all of these countries on your imaginary trip, you'll have a beautiful record of the wonderful places you visited through beautiful books. So enjoy and have a wonderful time. And one more thing that I'd like to mention is that on the back of this map, there is a little map of what's called Le Monde Francophone, which means the Francophone world, the French-speaking world. And you'll see that the parts highlighted are countries where French is one of the official languages, or a language that's used in some form. There's a little key on the bottom which shows you, but you can see that the French-speaking world is really scattered all across the globe. So there are so many places that you can go and speak French. Have fun and bon voyage tout le monde!